happening, Coach?
Happy Sunday, Mike Riley.
Happy Sunday it is, man.
Happy Sunday.
What are you up to?
Just finished up the birthday party of our 1-year-old.
Oh, man, that had to be. Was there like
Definitely.
10 1-year-olds crawling around on the floor, all his buddies?
Oh, it's kind of like the opposite, because like when you're like, he's one, he was in Kansas, until he was 10 months old, and he just got started at daycare. So he, it's got kind of like reverse. So he's one, so there was about 40 adults and about 8 kids. Versus when we get older, it'll be about 8 adults and about 40 kids. No, it was awesome. He was exemplary, no meltdowns, dominated his cupcake or his little baby cake with great fashion, and it was good. Had a good time, and I stayed strong. No meat and no soda. I did have cake and a cupcake, but still, pick your battles.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. I don't think it's realistic to go like everything out of your life.
Not at the same time. I would crash and burn, and so that's kind of my current dilemma. Not dilemma, I guess, is that as I'm trying to kind of figure out what works best for my body and what changes are good and what changes are bad and what's neutral, since I started, training hardcore, or fairly hard compared to what I was doing, that's made me feel better. I've dropped soda, no Diet Coke, no Coke Zero, and then I've dropped meat. And so it's kind of hard to tell, like, am I feeling better because of one or the other? But as I was telling somebody else at the party, where they were like, oh, I can't believe you've done that, get this, and how do you feel? And I was like, I actually don't know if it's more about what I'm not eating than what I am eating. Because I'm eating so many more vegetables and fruit to kind of make up for the caloric deficit from how much meat I was eating and high fat and stuff, that I think it's actually more, I'm feeling better because I'm having more fruits and veggies versus I'm just cutting out meat. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both, right? I mean,
true. Yeah, definitely.
One of the best advice, the things I ever read on a diet was, it was like, I forgot, it was like the Zen, oh man. He's got a great blog on the internet, you know who I'm talking about. But he was like, all right, here's your tip to diet. Just eat as many vegetables every day as you can and go from there. It's kind of like,
seriously,
just start there. Let's keep it simple and see what happens,
Yep.
And so I think so. I mean, realistically, when you're kind of you decide you're going to train for an Ironman, you got a lot of other things going on. You can't just. I mean, I've been thinking about that, and I haven't consciously gone vegan, but I've been eating a lot of vegetables and salads and stuff like that, and there's no question that it makes you feel better, but I can't can't commit to anything right now, and I just think it's sort of a slow infusion kind of thing that I'm looking for, and hopefully my habits can just get better. You read about these things like just make your bed in the morning, and that takes care of a lot of other things. So I think if you start eating just more vegetables, stuff like that, it just kind of takes care of things. I heard the story, speaking of that, I was thinking about that bed, making your bed. You've heard that, right? It's like that's sort of that big military thing. It's like, you want to straighten out your life, just start making your bed in the morning. Yep. It's sort of like a habit that you build and everything like that. And it was just occurred to me because I went in to my room, and it makes you feel better when you look in there and the bed's made, and it feels like you haven't let your day get away from you in the morning. But I was also looking around on my floor, there's like a pile of laundry and a couple other, it's just, how things get with Ironman training. It's just sort of like stuff gets spewed everywhere. And it reminded me of a story of when Bo Jackson, I was going to say Bo Ryan.
I was going to say, I thought you named Bo Ryan or Bo Schembechler.
Yeah, but no, but Bo Jackson is like, I guess, a super stickler on stuff like that. And one time I heard him tell a story about how his kid was out playing basketball, and he came in and he had a brand new pair of Air Jordans and some like Under Armour gear and all this really sweet new gear, and he just like threw it on the floor, and he went out to hang out with his friends, and Bo Jackson took it outside and burned it all. He's like, what do you think you're doing leaving shit on the floor? It's like, I don't know, man. I mean, so I don't know. There's something to be said about building habits, I think, like that, and it's that consistency in all aspects sort of start translating into other areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the whole mindfulness thing of like your total everything in your life, not just like one area, because it all tends to blend in to the next, I think.
Yeah. So let's kind of leave that out there for a second. Maybe we'll kind of round back into it or whatever. But I just want to, like, a couple things are going on, right? First, I was just trying to make accommodations for my mother, who has now decided that she wants to be in on Louisville because all the excitement and all the people that are going to be up there, and I think it has something to do with me, but she's going to be showing up, so I was kind of trying to build the hotel in. Now, do you find out, like in reservations, that towards the end they start opening up again, right? Do people just overbook? I mean, I don't know.
People overbook and people cancel.
Yeah. So it's always one of those risky business things. I guess
but I also think, 'cause I had somebody else, an athlete that I have in Columbia, Missouri. She was looking at having her and her mom come and volunteer, and then because she's thinking about doing it, she's like, I can't find a hotel. And I think what you find is that you have to in order to get really, really close to the starter or, primary locations, most hotels will tell you that they don't have anything available if you try to do like Saturday and Sunday night. And sometimes even Friday night through Sunday, because they want you to book 4 days at least. Mm-hmm. That's how it was in Madison, I think, even. Or it was cheaper, to do that versus another hotel. And so we were able to get our rooms, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. I think in Louisville's, again, it's not sold out. So, there are probably a few open ones if you're going to be there for 3 days or commit to being there for 3 days. And I think Friday is the most fun day. So, if you're looking at come up and chill on Friday, because I think that's the most relaxed, chill day to connect with people and talk and check out town and hit up your expo. And Saturday's more of the, get your little workout in, go check your bike in, get off your feet, and be alone in the hotel. And then obviously you've got, Sunday is the main attraction.
Yeah. And I'd also like to add that I think Monday is the best day too. So come check the race, hang around Monday, or come Friday. But we want to kind of build this up.
Do you remember that sweet place we grabbed breakfast at in 2014? Because I want to go back there.
Oh yeah, that all-you-can-eater?
Yeah, I think I'm still wearing a few of those helpings, but
that may not fit your veganism, dude.
I'm not giving up. I'm not going vegan. I'm giving up meat. I'm not giving up eggs right now. I am strong, so I can get eggs and French toast and be a happy camper. I'd have to lay off the bacon and sausage, but hey, if I'm sticking to it, I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking it day by day, right?
Exactly.
I mean,
day by day.
You got to adjust. I mean, because let's face it, this IRONMAN training is for the birds.
Yeah, well, that's
debate. No, I'm just saying that because I had a stickler of a workout just now.
Yeah, tell me about that. You said the lab kind of took you out back and bitch slapped you a little bit.
Oh yeah, well you know how it can do it. I mean it's.
Yeah. Was your jaw flapping a little bit?
Dog days of summer, the no shade, the high, heavy, hot winds, and also they were what do you call that? They were picking up the grass and busheling it.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
So there's it wasn't a combine, but it was sort of a
reaction or something.
Yeah, one of those spindler things. It was just throwing stuff around. So, and I was the only one out there. It was like, so I should have taken that as a sign that it's probably not the most comfortable environment at the moment. Mm-hmm. But as I mentioned on one of the videos, I've been, I kind of like I like to, as much as possible, if I'm not going real long or if I'm not going real hard, to kind of just try and go on water as much as I can, because I am trying to lose a little bit of weight, and I'm trying to also teach my body to get into those fat stores a little bit more, and which I think is a good practice. I just the last 2 times I've tried it in this heat, and and the first one was supposed to be sort of an easy ride that turned into a heavy tempo, like kind of
Delio.
Yeah, Delio. And they both kind of ate me alive. But I at the moment it kind of sucks. But I also kind of wonder if in the long term, teaching your body to, it's that pain thing. And we had a podcast on this a long time ago, but dealing with pain and learning how to fight through pain. And I mean, because I was out there watching the Music City Triathlon was going on today in Nashville, and I just kind of happened to ride my bike through there, and I got down there when it was sort of on the run, and everybody just looked miserable. I said, I saw a buddy of mine. I was like, "How's it going out there?" And he goes, "I'm just hot, man. It's so hot."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Man," I said, "Dude, you knew that when you signed up. What are you going to do about it?"
It's never going to be cool. So, no. I mean, if you don't want to get hot, if you don't like hot weather, then stop signing up for hot races.
Yeah. But, I mean, the reality of it is, and I brought this up to somebody else who I ran into that's doing Louisville, is that we're going into Louisville and it's in October, right? So immediately, since we did it in August, we're going to sit there and go, wow, yeah, it's going to be nice and cool. But the reality is, after you get off that bike and it's 80 degrees and sunny and you're downtown Louisville with no shade, it's still going to be super hot, man.
It's going to be warm. I don't know about super hot.
I mean, your body's going to be hot. I just think it's all kind of relative because of what you're used to training in at the weeks before the race and stuff like that. It's not going to be as tough or anything, that kind of business, but I just think it's easy to maybe kind of take it a little bit for granted that you're going to have that good weather, and I think that's a bad idea to kind of just think, well, it's going to be cool and I'll go out and crush. I mean, you're not. It's an Ironman. It's not one of those races that you just go out and cruise through.
Let me ask you this, and this is something I was actually debating on with a friend of mine at the birthday party who's a big runner. When does it become more of a workout crusher than a benefit when it comes to how hot it is?
Yeah, that's a really good question that I don't know the answer to, but I do know.
I think we're there.
We're there.
I think this heat that we're in right now is a perfect example of going out and just suffering, just wholly like about to die in this 100-degree heat, like it's a badge of honor for a 45 minutes or an hour at an 11-minute pace, versus going inside on the treadmill and getting a focused workout in of an hour and 15 hour and a half with some real speed and aerobic benefit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I could almost see that, I think that what went through my mind just now while I was out riding, I got to a point where it was a tipping point. I said that, I was going to go try. I rode about an hour along the Music City Triathlon route, and it was just an easy back and forth, But then I got to lab, and I thought, well, I'm going to ride an hour and a half right now on the lab. And about 30 minutes into that, I started hitting this point of like, this really sucks, and I'm like, I don't know, I feel pretty bad. And I kept doing this, all right, one more lap thing. One more lap. And I think I got about 6 out of myself. And by the time I was coming into the wind on that last one, I was like, I better get out of here. This is going to be detrimental. I could just kind of feel that tipping point, that thing just flipping over the top and maybe turning into like a knock me out for a couple days.
Yeah, you don't want that. You can't afford that.
No, can't afford that. Don't want it. But I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said for. But then again, back to that discussion about pain. It was sort of that one more lap. Like when I do that kind of stuff, I think of that as practice. It's like, how am I going to find a spot in my mind where I can just suck it up one more mile or one more mile, because it goes back to that discussion we had with that one guy about never trust how you feel in an Ironman, because 20 minutes later it could be totally different one way or the other. So those are the kind of things. It's just like
life, man. Things are never as bad or as good as they really seem, because it all changes. It's all about your perspective.
Right. And I mean, personally, I've always felt like that is a hugely underestimated part of racing Ironman. is that, like when something happens, people are just, they a lot of times tend to be like, well, I'm screwed. Race is over.
Did you just take a leak or fill up your water?
Just filled up my water.
All right, just checking.
That's the other thing I'm doing.
You're going to get a complaint about that tomorrow on the forum.
That's just a quick little go to the bathroom. Yeah. The other thing I've been kind of like trying to make sure in this heat that I'm really putting down like a whole bottle every half hour of water. I'm kind of timing out workouts with my fluid intake a little bit.
It seems like you're taking this is about as serious as I've ever heard you when it comes to preparing yourself for a race, the ins and the outs.
Well, man, I told you, man, I'm just like I for years and years I've had these theories, and
here we go, guys. Your daily theory, Mike Torelli.
But I've never really actually kind of followed through on what I knew needed to be done to execute said theories. And this time I'm trying to really take this cycling seriously, and I think that a lot of times that little things like hydration and it's just the consistency of getting out there, a lot. I just want to be on my bike a lot, as much as I want to get it to the point where that, it's like, hey, I'm going for a 2-hour ride, and that seems like just a walk in the park. Because that's, to me, is a good, because sometimes it's like swimming or anything, I want to do that with swimming as well, because I've never really trained much above the Ironman distance and at all in either swimming or cycling. Yeah. And I just want to mentally get that barrier out of my head. Like, oh my God, I know that I can do those distances one day, but it always ends up taking too much out of me. So I'd like it to be where I'm swimming 5,000 plus.
Oof.
By the Man. You're hearing me loud and clear.
All right. I mean, I got to admit, my 3,500-yard swim today was brought to you by your 3,000-meter swim yesterday.
Oh, was it really?
It was. I got in. Well, I mean, I will say this, that going from swimming in a 50-meter pool to a 25-yard pool is like a joke.
Yeah, it's really weird.
I mean, I was like, oh my God, I can go literally all day long. Like, I was just like cranking them out. I was swimming fast. I mean, and that's just how it is. You get 2 extra, depending on how you're doing, whether you're doing hundreds or not, but you get extra flip turns, and it's just so much shorter. Man, I feel like I was flying. But I felt good in the water today, and I told you this yesterday. We met up at NRC, and who, by the way, if you are traveling or visiting or live in Nashville Running Company is by far the best running store in town, if not around. And they love our Crushing Iron podcast and are huge supporters of our C26 triathlon team and our campers. And if you go in and mention Crushing Iron or C26, they will give you love in the amount of 15% off. So show them some love and give back.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I was telling you yesterday is that I'm whenever I coach other people with like ultimate confidence, and I know what works, and I believe I get really, really good results over a wide variety of people. Whether it's beginners or advanced, and regardless of what they're trying to accomplish, whether it's finishing their first sprint. I've got athletes that are just now trying to finish their second sprint triathlon ever. And then I've got athletes competing at the World Championships this year. So I coach everything in between. But when it comes to coaching myself, good God, do I second guess everything that I do. It's like I consider myself like a special case when I'm not. And so today I kind of recommitted to what I know works and what I know are basics, and what I have noticed in the past 3 to 4 days with me specifically when it comes to the most fatigued part of my body in the last week has been my arms. From swimming, everything I'm doing is with the pull buoy, with band or paddles. and also a lot of time in the aero position on my trainer. We've talked about this before, in terms of arm fatigue and how it relates to, overall cycling fatigue and your perceived exertion in the legs. And I have kind of recommitted to what I know and what I know I need to do for Louisville, and that is excessive swim and bike training to prepare, and some speed work for running to be prepared to run my best marathon fresh. And I know that's what I got to do. So I'm feeling good about it. I mean, the thing is right now I'm loving the bike, which is crucial for what we're doing right now. I'm liking the run. I'm loving the bike. And, for me, I would say I'm enjoying the swim, which for me sometimes it's hard to do because I usually stay in pretty decent year-round swim shape. But it's nice to see, I get more excited to go to the pool because I'm starting to see improvements. I do this kind of base, not a test, but a check-in, I guess. Once every 2 or 3 weeks, I'll do a 50 with band only, and just to see what my time is. And that can usually tell me quite a few things. It can tell me how good my body position is. It can tell me how my strength is, how my arm turnover is. And if I can get that down to a 35 or a 36, 50 with band only, it means I'm in pretty solid swim shape. Today I did it in 39, so I'm not there, but I'm getting there. And I just kind of need to refocus and stop trying to treat myself like I'm some special case and special camper and athlete, even though it is different when you coach yourself, which is why people get a coach. But I'm determined to stick with what I know works and what's always worked in the past for me, and see what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you emotionally detach? I mean,
Man, it's tough. I mean, it is... it's really tough. Because I look at my roster and see all these athletes and I see great results and I know what works. And it's hard. I would say that, the time frame and kind of crunch that we're in now makes it a little different, just because it's not my normal, preparation as far as how I would base and build and peak an athlete. But I was going to talk about this on the video tonight, and I still will, because this won't be released till tomorrow, Monday, the 24th. But I'm going to do kind of a 4-day check-in, and I'm going to do over these 4 days. I'm going to do the Ironman distance. I'm going to do the swim, back-to-back rides on Monday and Tuesday. That will hopefully cover 112, and then over the course of the 3 days, I'm going to cover the 26 miles, and I do that with a lot of athletes. Most athletes do an IM, but I do it over a 3-day span. And so to kind of check where I'm at aerobically, as far as where I am from a base standpoint, before I can kind of start to move to a different part of what I want to specifically concentrate on. I really need to see where I'm at. I don't need to test myself and go out and do a 100-miler, but I do want to see if I can do 2 back-to-back solid days on the trace and accumulate 112 miles. Because I'll be honest, the 2 weeks ago when we did camp, I did 45 miles. I felt like I could have gone at least another 15 to 20 and gotten in, 65, 70. And while I was shredded from these 3 hours worth of hard trainer sessions on Friday, or Thursday rather, or maybe it was Friday, that I was like, well, I think I could for sure go out for an easy 4 hours, so I don't want to test myself into a 4 or 5 day, recovery to where I'm just totally toast. But I think in order for myself to kind of see, since it is a time crunch, and I do need to figure out when I need to start focusing on specific, effort levels and specific workouts to hit, and when and how much, I kind of need to find a good baseline of where I'm at aerobically from what my body can withstand on a healthy end. Not so much I want to go see how far I can ride today and do an epic workout. But I do want to do one that puts me at about 80%. Like if I want to quit before I want to quit when I say I think I could go about 10 more miles, and call it a day, and then come back out the next day and do an easy ride. And I think that'll really give me a kind of good baseline of where I'm at, because I do have some recovery lined up anyway, and I think I'll just take it after this block because I'll be traveling Friday, Saturday, Sunday up in Columbia, Missouri for an open water swim clinic. So it'll be harder for me to get in workouts anyway, so that's a kind of a no-brainer built-in recovery block for me, just for the nature of like what my life is gonna kind of hand out. And so I think this is kind of a good time to I guess it is kind of to test myself. I think it's more so a gauge of gauging my aerobic fitness, and am I actually in a place where I'm prepared to move on to the next step, which is not just building more aerobic base and long slow rides, but also incorporating real solid quantity within those rides.
Right. Yeah, that's I think it's an interesting point, because that's sort of the curiosity I have right now, is to like, I don't really know. I feel solid about it. I feel like it's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to cut you off, but I think you're in that kind of same spot. It's like, I feel like I wasn't behind the 8 balls I thought I was, but I don't want to really see where I am, because if I do, I'll burn a match and it'll be too quick and I'll be on the shelf for 5 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm much more content with the idea of riding my bike every day for an hour and a half right now, or something like that. And, like what you're saying about getting that 2 days, see if you can ride the distance. I'm okay with doing it over 3 or whatever, just because, yeah, it's sort of like, all right, I feel like the build is in place, but I have no idea. But like you said, I'm the same thing. I'm looking at this as a swim bike training for the most part, and short runs just to keep that feel of that run, because frankly, like I always say, is like I've never felt like I've really ran per se coming off the bike. And even the last time we did Louisville together, I didn't even run up the last month and a half going into that race. And I mean, I think I ran like a little over 5 hour marathon. I mean, there's some walking in there but I had a like Achilles thing going on or whatever. But so if you just bike, I mean, it's one of those things. If you're training to win, you got to put a lot of running mileage in. There's just no question. I mean, it's just like, but if you're kind of like in our boat where you're, age grouping and you want to maybe do well and maybe do one of your better races and stuff like that, I mean, how much mileage and time can you actually put in can you get to that level of, that 9 hour, it's like what it takes to get there is just so extreme sounding for me right now. But I'm willing to take my chances that if I can get off that bike in my normal time, but feel so much better that, I can maybe turn in a sub 4 hour marathon. I'm not trying to like shock the world, even though sometimes I think that way.
Well, I mean, I think it's okay to want to think that way, in a responsible manner. Like, you're confident you can do the distance and race well, without training what a lot of people would consider, a lot. But you don't want to test that theory, in training.
Yeah.
And just really burn it out, which I think is, it's that really fine line of patient and confident all at the same time, which is exactly what you need to have come race day too.
Yeah, let's talk about that in just a second, a little bit more and more focused. This idea of accumulated fatigue, because as you know, I mean, last year going into Wisconsin, I think my longest ride was like 70 miles, which was just kind of ridiculous. But I started so late on the plan that I was on that I just felt like if I would have kept that plan out there for another 2 months or something like that, I think it would have worked because I was riding a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And I was putting back-to-back 30, 40, 50-mile days together and things like that. So, you know, for somebody like me who really does not like riding those super long rides, I mean, is that a viable program? The accumulated fatigue idea. Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough one. Because fatigue is relative based on more so a combination of intensity and duration than just intensity and just duration. And we talked about this before when I've gone over what a lot of people would a lot of people talk about when they talk about what they call TSS, which is your training stress score. And a lot of people will have a specific TSS that their goal is to have for their Ironman bike. And I'm one of those people. I have a specific TSS that I'm familiar with. I have a TSS, and then I have an amount of kilojoules that I really believe are pretty close to where I need to be and produce to get a decent time, and that's how I base two things. One is stress, and the other is accumulated time and intensity, because both of those kind of go together. And so to kind of break it down in terms of a number standpoint. So when I look at an Ironman bike, which is what I'm looking at now, I'm more than likely going to produce somewhere around 3,500 kilojoules, which is what I would consider work / energy output. And these are power meter metrics. And then I generally produce between 270 and 280 TSS points. So to break that down for you I'll go back and I'll read over my Ironman Wisconsin stats. Bike split 546.25, 112 miles. I don't even know what average mile an hour that is, 19 something. My training, my TSS, my training stress score was 273.3, which is right around what my aim was. And then my kilojoule output was 3,570. So again, fairly close. Now, the two things of note here are my average power was 183, my average heart rate was 139. So taking that baseline of an average power of 183 and an average heart rate of 139, what I could do in training is not go for 5 hours and 46 minutes, but I could probably go for 4 hours to 4.5 hours, include some really, really hard intervals, and get it to where, like, let's say my average power was closer to 200 and my average heart rate was closer to 145, 150. And even though I didn't go for 5 hours and 46 minutes, I could, depending on how I structured the intervals and how hard they were, still accumulate that same training stress score of 273, and or produce the same amount of kilojoules. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I mean, so it's like, there's duration and volume and there's intensity, and it's always how you marry them. They're two separate, but when it comes to piecing the puzzle together, it's all right. Do I have 6 hours to go do a ride, or do I even want to spend 6 hours doing a long, slow endurance ride that's going to produce, a 300 training stress score? Or would I be much better suited to go out for 4.5 hours and just get some easy endurance in, but spend the middle portion just crushing it, and still produce the same amount of fatigue? And so when you talk about fatigue accumulation, what I hear is, if I ride 5 hours a week from an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I add in some hammerfest like sessions in the middle and some real quality, and that ends up with 9 hours, let's say it ends up to 8 hours over the course of the week. is that the same or equal to 13 easy hours with less quality and less intensity?
Yeah.
And I would say to a point. I think I can hear you tracking Adam Langmaid in the background.
That's exactly what I'm doing, and we'll talk about that
We
next.
will talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that next. But, in I would say you're correct to a point. And, there is no shortcut or way around getting in good, long endurance stuff. But at the same time, is it sensible to always go out for 6-hour easy rides? Like it's perfect example is I had an athlete yesterday who's doing Louisville, and I gave her I think it's Erica Drakowski. So Erica, if you're listening, great job yesterday. But I gave her let's go back and look real quick. I gave her, it was something like it was a 5-hour ride, but it had some really hard quality sessions in it. She was like, "Do you really want me to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really want you to do this, or at least try to." And she ended up just dominating it and having an exceptional workout. But what I got out of her was probably, so let's say she, yesterday was 5 hours of a lot of quality, and she ended up averaging.
You there? Well, that was scary.
Man, just total see ya. See you later.
Power went out, huh?
Yeah, it was like the second time in a couple of days. All this heat, man. Heat and people jacking down their AC, and I think it's just overload central.
Yeah, the demand is through the roof, and they're like shutting down the dam for that Music City triathlon.
Oh, Christ.
That's probably what caused it.
Probably is stupid triathletes. All right.
So you're saying
you need to restart.
You were talking about Erica.
Yeah. So that's a good example of does intensity trump duration and volume, or does duration and volume trump intensity? And that's where I think it's really important to get a blend in. I do think there's a lot of substance in doing not the distance, but a certain amount of duration. But you always have to consider, what am I doing at what cost? And I think that's ultimately the question, regardless of how short of a time frame you have in training for an Ironman or a 70.3 or whatever it is. And it's like, is this 6-hour ride worth the next 2 or 3 days of stress and fatigue and soreness, which you may still get it after a 4-hour ride? But I just think there's a lot of ways to skin the Ironman cat, and it doesn't have to be 25-mile runs and multiple 120-mile bike rides. I just don't believe that it's necessary.
No, and
to succeed, I just don't.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it is either, and I don't think most of us are capable of that. I just think that's just a whole nother level of fitness. If you can pull that off and do that with regularity, and it doesn't just beat the crap out of you, that's one thing. And you like to do it, and you have the time or whatever. But I don't know. It's like sometimes like the thing about those long rides, and a lot of times it isn't necessarily. And this goes back to what you said earlier again about the upper body fatigue and the arm fatigue and the neck fatigue and the saddle fatigue. Those are the things that end up really seeming to pinch me the hardest at the end of an Ironman if I'm not used to training up that. It's like if I've only ridden 75, 80 miles going in, and like that day is my longest ride, it's just like, okay, 90 miles in, my butt's going, what the heck, and my neck and my shoulders and my arms are getting more tired than anything. And I think that's why I like to do, when I'm going really good, I do a lot of just yoga, like strength moves and flexibility stuff, and even push-ups. I do a lot of push-ups, just like that. We don't think about our upper body strength that much in triathlon, and we think that maybe like swimming takes care of it all, but I think that there's a need for stuff like that. And that just makes me feel overall balanced strength And so, yeah, I don't know the answer. I think that it's like anything else. The more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, the easier it becomes, and then it probably pays off. You know, if you can go out and if I can turn my 60s into 80s or 85s consistently, I mean, there can't be any downside to that if it's not just wrecking me. It's just all about fitness.
It is. It's about fitness, and it's just a very, very delicate balance, which is why a lot of people get coaching. It's why I get like a huge influx of athletes that reach out to me with like 90 days left, because it's like crunch time, and it's easy to manage and prepare. It's kind of like, we'll see if this is a good analogy or not, but honestly, it's a whole lot like being a wedding planner. You hire the wedding planner not for the whole time, but for the last little bit when you just can't think anymore and be objective, and every single solitary detail matters, not just the stuff at the very beginning. And so that's what a lot of being a coach is that I get a lot of athletes who are very close to like some big race, and they're just like, I just think I need something more, or the closer you get, the more the more stressed you get, the more anxious you get. And when you combine those things with like type A athletes, then what you end up getting is it's just like you question literally every single thing you're doing. You're either thinking you're doing too much or you're doing too little. When do I take a rest day? When do I not? And that's what usually happens. And I enjoy it because I love working with athletes, period. But I think that's the difficult part, and that's kind of the window we kind of find ourselves in without the lead up, is that immediate 90-day spot where every single workout matters. Every skipped or missed workout matters. Every workout that you go too hard matters. And so it's just a very, it's like IRONMAN Jenga. Take one here, take one there. Can I take this and risk it, or is it all going to collapse?
Yeah. So I don't know, but I know what's not seemingly collapsing is the new IRONMAN Tracker. Can we talk about that for just a few minutes?
Man, I do want to give a shout out to my buddy who is listening, who was my anonymous source, as if you recall, a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you called it, man. It's
IRONMAN.
Like you heard.
Yeah, I have a anonymous source very close within the ranks of IRONMAN, who said that they were coming out with a new tracker either late July or August that was going to be their version, revolutionary and good. And I just simply said, obviously, I believe it when I see it. And today we got our first glimpse, and man, am I digging it.
Yeah, let's look at this thing a little bit.
You can pull it up on your end?
Yeah, I have it. I've got it going here, and it's at this point it's free, which I'm sure is a smart move on their part. But I would imagine eventually we'll be paying a little bit for it. But if it's this good and they keep...
I don't think we'll pay for it.
You don't think so?
Nope.
What?
Have you seen? I just don't think we're going to. Have you seen how they're incorporating their website into it? Buy official IRONMAN merchandise, and I think it's going to end up being more of the mobile version of their website than it is just a specific tracker.
Okay. Well, let's hope. I mean, I've definitely seen ads and a whole bunch of different stuff on there, but it's just I'm only tracking Adam. I didn't have anyone else on here, but I don't know how it works with like multiple athletes. Have you been tracking multiple?
I was actually tracking Adam, and then Alejandro Coy, who was doing 70.3 Calgary today, tracking both of them, and it worked seamlessly, like toggling between both events. I've got alerts about both of them. I mean, I don't have a complaint.
Man, that's pretty good. And they have like an overall time clock going by the second, which is pretty cool. It's like you can kind of see exactly
constantly going. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty sweet.
then there's like a time bar at the top that has their clock running, and then it has their total mileage based on the last split they crossed. And it's sort of like this. It keeps sliding closer and closer to the finish line. They have, this had 2 splits. So they get out of the water over there? They must.
Yeah, they go. Yeah, they get up and out of the water.
Okay.
I believe it's either that or two loops, but I'm fairly confident they get up out of the water.
Yeah, and it's just it gives you every split, every average. I mean, it's pretty solid at this point.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'm digging it so far, so I gotta give props.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I gotta give props.
Well, I'm gonna give props too, man. I'm glad they've been listening to us over the years.
Yeah, Messick, I appreciate you listening, and I won't tell anybody. I got you in my back pocket, and you are indeed my anonymous source.
I believe that one.
Yeah, no way.
We would
not be friends.
Not yet, but sometimes the best friendships start a little rocky.
It's true. This is definitely true. So we will. But yeah, kudos to them for putting this together, and I have a feeling that is why the last few races have been just like horribly tracked, because they pulled the plug, I would imagine, and wanted to make they wanted to create even more of a problem to make their solution seem that much better.
Yeah.
That was kind of my thought process on why they did this. Because, listen, people, so many people are just like I saw this yesterday. Like, I mean, yeah, like there are a lot of things I don't like that they do, but I ultimately think they are very smart from a business standpoint. Whether we like it or not is a different story. But like the whole tier thing, like I saw people like completely and utterly bitching and moaning about the new tier program. It's $25 difference.
Oh.
$25 between tier 1 and tier 2. Oh, this is the worst idea ever. I'm like, dude, then A, sign up earlier. B, quit bitching about $25. Like, you spend $300 on an aero helmet and $600 on a wetsuit you might use 5 times a year. Stop complaining about $25. If you were that sold on doing the race, you would have signed up when it opened up anyway. If you didn't, it's because you're hedging your bet. And so you know what? $25 is plenty to spend on hedging your bet. So get over it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah,
seriously.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I mean, I see why they do what they do. Like from the tier aspect, like that's what businesses do. You reward people for committing early. That's what you do. That's good business. If you want to commit to people who are committing to you, and if you're going to be a waffler, then who wants to commit to a waffler unless you're syrup?
Okay. Now, on the topic of Ironman, I brought this up. And we don't have to go too deep into it, but it was a feisty discussion on one of the triathlon Facebook groups about some guy wrote an article. I can't remember where it was, but it might have been Louisville actually, where they were he was trying to pitch this idea that Ironman is a for-profit corporation and they should be paying their volunteers. And it drove a really heated discussion. I mean, one of his arguments was that it takes away from the local volunteer pool, because if certain people only decide to volunteer 10 hours a year, that sucks up, the volunteer thing. And I actually wrote, and they linked to this post of mine. It was like, I had seen I think it was a U.S. Open golf tournament in Wisconsin one time, and I was surprised to hear that they have thousands of volunteers for like a golf tournament like that. And in that particular case, the volunteers pay pretty big money to volunteer. And so I kind of made a little bit of a post about how maybe the volunteers should pay Ironman, kind of like in a little bit in jest, but. I think, it's one of those things where like these people seem to love it, and I think they like giving, I think a lot of them are triathletes and they like giving back to the sport and all this other business. I don't I don't know. I just think if people want to volunteer, a lot of times people volunteer. I know when I volunteer, I would rather volunteer than get, a token payment, because it just sort of feels like, hey, I gave something to that person and it makes me feel good. I mean, that's the whole gist behind being a volunteer. And with Ironman, I mean, frankly, I am so glad that they have them, because, these races are great races. I mean, if we can nitpick all we want, but when you go to see an Ironman event, these things are run like, pretty solid.
Yeah.
You compare them to any other, triathlon out there, maybe with the exception of Mr. Del Monte up in New Jersey, but he's a rare case, but these things are just locked in, and you can just feel the different vibe around them. They just bring it. And if that's not worth, an extra $100 or $200 or whatever you got to pay, then, don't do it. But, you have to, notice that fact that, yes, it's expensive. It keeps you committed. But if they have to start paying volunteers, if that thing started happening, then we'd be paying, $300 more a race probably, or more. And it's like, I just think volunteers good, man.
They already pay the volunteers, in my opinion.
Sure.
They give them an incredible experience. Because you know what they do? They literally volunteer to do this. So it's something they already want to do. You give them the opportunity. I think you get like a dinner or something. You get preferred entry to the race of whatever, and you get to experience an Ironman on the other side of it. You know what it's also? It's an incredible opportunity for someone who's just getting into the sport to really see what it's like.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from people that I know who have done it, that they will tell you being a volunteer is one of the most incredible experiences that in the sport, even at the same level as participation, that you can find. And having the volunteers and the finisher shoot in the last 2 to 3 hours of a race is an experience that they'll never forget.
Sure.
So, those are things that aren't tangible. They don't come with a paycheck or a decimal point. But none of us, nobody listening to this, more than likely is getting paid. We pay money to, what in my opinion is get an experience. And the more opportunities you have to experience different things and expand your views and, explore, your mental and emotional, areas of your life. And a lot of that is through being a volunteer and helping people at the beginning of the race, during the race, getting thanked. It's an incredible thing to do, and the races would not be where they are without it, and vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's got to be a great experience to get in that close to the race without actually being in it. And of course, that's the whole reasoning behind that golf thing I was talking about. These people just want to be close to these players, and it's on a way lesser scale. It's like they want to be close to the athletes and see what it's all about and get a taste for it on that level. It's like courtside.
Yep.
It's like you volunteer for courtside seats. I mean, that can't be all bad.
No, it's an investment in time. To see if this is something that you really, really want to do or not. And you'll know as soon as you're done. I don't want to do this, or I don't really think that's for me. And so, I mean, from that standpoint, from an R&D standpoint, it's a no-brainer. It's just an investment of time, and you get back what you put in.
Yep. All right. So there's your Ironman Louisville course recap.
I promise that we'll get into it this week. Promise.
Don't make a promise, man, that we can't keep.
I know, we get derailed.
Yeah. But eventually we're going to do a course breakdown for Ironman Louisville.
Yeah.
It might
if anybody wants to hear it, we'll do one.
Yeah, we might have to bonus cast that. I don't think anybody cares.
Nah, they don't. Bonus cast it is.
Bonus cast coming your way. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah. Anything else you got?
I don't know. We've got another camp coming up, but what about the camps, man? We got that whole thing about ready to blow up for next year, right?
It is, yeah. Things are, first off, things are, I feel so incredibly fortunate to be able to do what I do and work with all the just ridiculously awesome athletes that I get to work with on a daily basis. And we had such an incredible response from this last camp we did. I know that you're going to have a really awesome camp kind of recap video coming out shortly. That'll give everybody kind of a taste of the camp experience. But we have a camp coming up in 2 weeks, August 10th through the 13th. And, based on requests and the feedback I got and the reviews I got from this last camp, we went ahead and released the 2018 schedule because obviously people like to plan and it does travel. And so next year, 2018, we're going to have 5 different camps here in Nashville. April 11th through the 15th will be a triathlon camp. April 20 to the 22nd will be a strict swim camp, all things swimming in open water. Another swim camp, May 25th through the 27th. And then we'll have 2 more tri camps to finish off the year in the heart of the season, which will be one on June 20th through the 24th, and then August 8th through the 12th. If you have any desire or want additional information, shoot me an email, and we'll open up registration to the general public for that. August 1st, we've already opened it up to our current athletes. I know I say it all the time, and it probably sounds boring and repeated and to everybody who is not one of our athletes, but we seriously do have some of the greatest group of people as part of our C26 team and club, and our athletes they're all over the world, they're all over the country, and if you're looking to be a part of just our athletes and the community we have, they make the brand. They make what, they are they're more of this than you and I are, in my opinion. If you are looking to, or want additional information on becoming an athlete or just being a part of the club and team, the rest of this year or in 2018, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can message me on Facebook, or email at c26coach@gmail.com. And, it's the reason why we started this. It's just about reaching as many people as we can and helping them, achieve, and accomplish their goals and their dreams in the best and most supported way in an affordable fashion. And, I'm committed to continuing on that journey. I know you are. And so, if you're a good, solid citizen looking for a great supportive team, to be around, then hit us up.
Yeah, love to have you. Yeah, it's just sort of building with great people. It's just sort of naturally happening, which is really cool.
It is.
We saw it firsthand with the camp, and we're seeing it every day. We're going to all be, come by to Louisville, check us out.
Yeah, come to Louisville, check us out, hang out, see what it's all about, and I look forward to meeting everybody else there too. And again, like if you just have a general question about anything triathlon, please feel free to reach out to Mike or I. We're all in this together. Triathlon again can be such an incredibly lonely sport.
Yeah.
Where people stay so tunnel visioned and narrow-minded and focused that you're kind of afraid to ask for help because you're afraid of the answer you're going to get, or you're afraid you won't even get an answer. You just get radio silence because you're too afraid to ask it. There is no such thing as a dumb question. And we've had tons of questions in the past, and please feel free to reach out, or, if you want to be part of just an incredible group of people on our Crushing Iron closed Facebook group. Talk about a supportive and open group of people. Hop on in there, participate in the discussion, and just please let us know if there's anything we can do for you.
Yeah, and if you're not around Nashville and you happen to be traveling here or whatever, like Lloyd did last week, he reached out to us and he said he was going to be coming by and he wanted to ride the lab that we keep talking about, and I met him out there. We just kind of hung out and did a little workout. And if you're coming to Nashville, hit us up. If we can make it happen, we'll meet you at the Trace or go out to the lake for a swim or do a run or whatever. Just let us know. I mean, that's kind of how we roll. So we're just hanging in Nashville for now and doing 100 days to Louisville training. and feeling pretty good about it. Inspired by everybody that's gotten behind us and they're watching the videos. Make sure you. I got it changed now. It's just Crushing Iron on YouTube.
No.
The title, follow or subscribe to Crushing Iron on YouTube. We're doing daily videos, hopefully inspiring, and they're kind of like inspiring both of us back and forth. So I think that they have to be touching somebody once in a while. I think it helps.
I hope so. Yeah, it helps me. It helps me to do them, and I've heard a couple good people. So hey, what the heck?
Yeah, we'll keep doing it. We got all kinds of other stuff coming out. So
that's right, man.
All right, well, go look at your house. And I was thinking about your house. You guys are building it, right?
Yep.
I was just thinking about this as I was riding through the neighborhood and stuff today. Don't skimp on windows. I think windows are huge.
Oh, we got solid windows already.
Okay, good.
They're solid, yeah.
I was thinking about because mine are just shit.
And
I think it really impacts my house. I need to upgrade it. But you can just, like, you're driving by a house and you're riding by a house and you look over there and you're like, man, that's a nice house. And then you realize that a lot of times it's sort of the windows that make it happen.
It's all about the windows, whether you're looking for a house or trying to take a good photo.
You can put windows behind you, but you have to know how to do it.
Yeah, I don't know how to do it.
Well, it's kind of hard with the iPhone,
That's your thing. You're good at that. I'm not. Know your strengths, work on your weaknesses. That's my game.
If you're gonna do it, my only simple advice is just put a lamp up in front of you, so you're lit. Because otherwise it'll grab the brightness of the window and kind of like blow it out. I don't know.
I'm always lit.
Think about it. You're always lit.
Okay. All right. I'll think about it. Always trying to get better.
Right. Well, it's been a great day. Great Sunday. This podcast comes out on Monday. Did you lose your power again?
No, I'm still here.
Okay.
Just faded. Yeah, man. It's tough business around here.
All right. Keep training. Keep following 100 Days to Louisville. Give us your input. CrushingIron@gmail.com. C26coach@gmail.com. Hit us up. Let us know what's on your mind.
Talk to you soon.
All right. See you, bud.
See you, bud.